Food insecurity, defined as the inability to acquire enough food to meet the needs of a household because they have insufficient money or resources for food.
I think a lot of times, especially when you kind of think about like the way our expenses are set up, a lot of people kind of look at food as one of those last resort things. Uh, like because you have to pay your rent, you have to pay your utilities. If you have a car, if you have a Metro card, you got to pay that, right? You got to get to work, you got to get to school wherever you're going.
Food insecurity have been declining since 2011, but since the pandemic, it's been rising again. Pre-pandemic, 1 in 5 adults and 1 in 4 families in New York City used a food pantry at least once in a 3-year period. As of 2023, these rates have nearly doubled.
My primary source of food right now is like frozen foods, like frozen vegetables, frozen chicken, all of that, just everything frozen because it's cheap and easy.
We really want to ensure that community members have access to those fresh, nutritious foods that might be less common at other food pantries that they might visit. So we really do focus on that.
Adults who are food insecure were found to have a 32% greater odds of being obese. Young people from ages 12 to 16 from food insecure households were 1.5 times more likely to be obese.
It goes back to knowledge and resources. I feel like a lot of people either they have one or the other, they don't have a combination of both. And it gets a little tricky because you can have the resources, right? But you don't necessarily have the knowledge to use it. For example, if you have a store near you or if you get fresh produce at a decent price, you have those resources, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you know how to use it.
Around 4 out of 5 food pantry recipients felt that City Harvest helped them to access nutritious food options.
But we really do try and make sure that the food we're getting out to the community is nutritious and really focusing in on that fresh produce because that's something that's just a lot harder for folks to get if they can't get it in their local supermarket.
In 2020, more than 1 in 5 college students qualified as food insecure, around 3.8 million students. Of those students, only 16% actually received SNAP benefits due to the requirements. NYU has the Violet Food Pantry, which offers food and resources to students.
Me trying to sign up for SNAP, it wasn't possible for me because even if my income was reportable, I was not working 20 hours a week, which was like the minimum to sign up for benefits like SNAP. And I think weekly I work 8 hours. I can't even imagine being a student and on top of that working 20 hours just to, fulfill the minimum requirement.
The Violet Food Pantry offers food to all students, whether or not they qualified for food assistance.
A lot of students actually find themselves surprised to be food insecure. Like a lot of students grow up in families where they might not be experiencing or might not understand some of what they're experiencing as food insecurity, and also, for example, come from public schools, like in the New York City public school system. Breakfast and lunch is provided, so they might just have a different orientation toward food, right? A different experience with food and food access, but then come to college and those kinds of programs don't exist for college students.
The Violet Food Pantry offers food to all students, whether or not they qualified for food assistance.
Yeah, I think this program is very important and essential to students, especially those coming from a more like lower income background where sometimes like the meal plan is like not enough for what is able to feed them. And living in New York, one of the most expensive cities in the world, that'd be really hard without like help from elsewhere.
Now with access to the Violet Pantry, Wendy says she's able to easily increase her daily intake of fresh fruits and vegetables. With government subsidies at risk and the ever-increasing prices of groceries, food pantries are more important now than ever. For Cooper Square News, I'm Abby Bauman.